let's demonstrate our code and then see how it works. So the first thing I said was let's import the data. Okay, let's load the data set that we want. So let's go to the folder, project folder, and I show you here. This is the data that we have in two formats, Excel form and then a CSV form. So we're going to use the CSV for now. We would learn how to import data later on. So the different formats that the data comes in, we'll try to see how we can load that into Stata without having to look for something to convert it. Okay, so right now we want to load the data, and there are several procedures that you can do that. So the current one that I think is being used by the newer versions is the import delimited. So we're going to have import delimited. Remember, our data is in the folder. This is where our files are, and we have to look one folder ahead. That is raw data in order to read it, get the data set. So we have raw data, type it exactly as the folder name is. So the name of the data set itself is csv data.csv. All right, so at this point it is okay. Now sometimes I like to add this clear at the end, because this one here you sometimes miss it, and then if there is data already in the current session, it won't allow you. So to run away from all those things, I just add it again. It won't spoil anything, but I just decide to add it myself. So that will clear if I had forgotten to do that already. So this will clear the data set and read in the new one. So let's go ahead and run it here, and let's see how it works. But then normally I like to use my control plus arrow. Control plus arrow is running it, and I don't have to see all this code running through on my screen. So I'm just going to use the shortcut, save it, and then control plus arrow. Then you can see that there is something here without an arrow. So our data is read into it. Now let's just browse. Type browse in the command window. Press your enter key, and then this is the data set we have just imported. Okay, so it's a very long data set. Now let's look at what it is. Text, age, and name. This is okay, but then sometimes the data set comes with long names, unreadable names, or names that we do not understand that much. Now you see that in the labels column it is empty. So that is where I go back to this and go to my labels. I would want to do that first. So first I want to label my variables first. So here I have text, I have age, I have name. What do they mean? Now let's go and then do a letter and type name, see what happens. Okay, it is fine. So it's not a keyword, so we can go ahead with our labels. So I'm going to say label var short for variable, so you can actually type it in full if you want it, but I just leave it as short as this. So label var, which variable am I labeling? Text, then in double quotation, so I just put gender of the respondent. Okay, then I label age of the respondent, and I label var name. Okay, name. Okay, now the name I'm going to rename it differently. Okay, I'm going to rename it differently. So say rename name as income. I will explain later why I'm doing it that way. So label var, then we now have income. Also income, put it that way. Also income. Okay. So this is basically everything that we have done here, and that is what you would have done to cover all the variables in your data set. Let's run this by pressing Ctrl arrow to see whether there is something. Now, yes, there is something. We can see here that what we have typed is appearing against the respective variable name. So right now you cannot read this properly and know what they are. So sex is gender of the respondent. If it was some other name, we decided to code it, okay, to make it shorter, then this will explain what that is. All right, so basically this is the variable labels. But then let's browse to see again. I'm using the arrow for shorts. So browse again and you see that yes, these are still the same. Sex is supposed to be male, female. Why is it one or two? So the one who has given you the data set, or if you are the one to enter the data set, you probably would have defined these somewhere. What is the meaning of one and what is the meaning of two? So let's say one is a male and two is a female. Now this code two, it's something that you alone will understand. I am the one doing the entries for you. So what I like to do is that, okay, I do not want any other person coming into contact with this data set knowing exactly what this is, especially if this data set is identifiable, somebody can look at it and then go snooping into people's income activities. Okay, so I do this and I tell the person that, okay, so this B is a number, A is a number, C is a number. So for example, from A to let's say C, from A to C, any other letter is zero. Okay, any other letter it's zero. So just that means that that particular person we could not find, we couldn't have access to the person's income information. So just take that off or put zero there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to say, okay, if there is a B in any of these, change it to the appropriate number. Okay, and that number let's assign the position of the letter, the position of the letter to the letter itself. So what I mean is that if it is A, it's 1, if it is B, it's 2, C is 3, and D, it is 4. So we'll do that and get back to the original um, values that were given by the respondent. Okay, so let's leave it hanging there and we come to this and be looking at what we are doing. Now the first one is the sex. I would want to actually rename the values there. Okay, so label define, we need to define the labels first. So I'll just put SX for the labels for sex. So one double quotation male, then two is female, and label value for short. Okay, so instead of typing value, I just val for short. So which values are we labeling? Sex values. And where is the definition that we want to label the one and two? It is inside SX. So this is all we need to do. So I'm going to save this and run this. And then let's see. Okay, I have name appearing again. So now I'm having this because I am rerunning the code again, so it cannot find name as before. Okay, it cannot find name as before. I will show you what to do in order to get this done, but for now I am, if you were to run it from here, okay, this is variable label. So let's have our do variable label of 2. Let's run it from inside here. Then you can see that it is running properly without the error because it's starting afresh, reading the data, the original data set. But in here, or when you run it the first time, it will do well. But the second time, it won't find name here again. That is why you were seeing that. Okay, so for us, let me leave it as the name. Now you know what it is. So I'll leave it as a name because I'm going to be running from inside here until we have seen what we want to do. So now you can see that these are labeled properly, okay, with one being male and then two being female. Now the next one I want to do is, okay, is there somebody who is below the age of 25. Okay, so like the minimum was 25. So let's make it, let's say 30. If you are below the age of 30, we group you as something else. If you are above 30 or above, then we give you something else. So with that, we will have to generate a new variable. Okay, so say generate, gen for short, age group. I'll call it here as age group. Okay, is equals to what? Less than. I'm putting that in bracket is less than 30. Okay, right. So let's run it. All right. So now we can see that um, anything that is below 30 is marked as 1. Okay, on that 30 is marked as 1, and once it is 30 or more, it is marked as 0. So the reason is because we have asked it that, okay, so give me another, create another name, variable name called age group, so that that particular one will contain all ones if the age value is below 30. So I can have another value here, define it as age group. So 1 is below 30, and then 0 is above 30. Okay, now if this is not what you actually wanted, you wanted 0 to be below 30, it is easy. All you have to do is change this 1 to greater than or equals to. Okay, so that way you will have the 1 reversing. Or you can use recoding to recode the values. Then the 1s to 0 and the 0s to 1. So whichever form that you want to, you can actually do that. So I'm going to leave it as the original ones. And then if we go back here and run it, we're gonna have, okay, yes, we have this. There is a problem here. I need to clear that. There's a problem there that I need to clear. So let's go back to the labels here and then put something here so that it doesn't have to give us that error thing. Okay, see that error there that says that label SX already defined. So it is here and we are running it again. So I'm going to put a comma here. A comma means that whatever follows next is going to be option. Okay, so I am going to optionally modify if there is a change. Okay, so modify this one if there is a change so that it doesn't have to keep on giving us that one. I do the same thing to this. Okay, so that if I'm running it the second time, the third time, I will still have my results. Okay, so let's now go back to see may not label. What did we do that is asking us may not label? So we have label, define, okay, each group as one, then modify. See, there is a dot there. All right, so label values, which ones are we labeled? The age group as age group without the OP, OU. Okay, now let's run our code. Let's go back to analysis and run our code, control plus arrow. Then you can see that things have changed from here. All right. So this is how we are going to, the above and the below is kind of mixed together and you cannot see it well. So this is above, this is below 30 or 30. So you can't choose to rename them anyhow you want. All right. So basically, this is what I would have done inside the variable labels. Okay. Now let's go to the cleaning. What do we do in the cleaning? Okay, that means that here we're going to load the cleaning here to say, okay, do cleaning. Okay, then we come back and do the cleaning. Now, as I indicated before, let me try something here and you see we have the letters A, B, and C all over, mixed all over these ones. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make changes to this. Okay, without going to look at how far the data is going. I think it's about 700 observations. and we will not be able to hand code all these, then the A to 1, B to 2, and those things, so that we are not able to. Okay, so let's replace the A's with 1, the B with 2, and so on. So we're going to replace name is equals to sub string. I hope I spelled that correctly. So in the name, what are we replacing? We're replacing an A with what? A 1. Okay, then dot. I'm going to copy that and then paste it a number of times and say B here, C here, D here. So this is going to be 2, this is going to be 3, this is going to be 4. So this could have been defined differently. That mean different numbers. Maybe A is 2000, B is 200, that kind of thing. Okay, not necessarily following this particular format. So I'm going to have this, and then I'm going to run this one alone. Okay, now you can see that a lot of things have changed here. The name has become something else, but then there are some other ones here. Can you see it here? You can move along. I'm sure there are some other ones. Okay, after this, if there is still letters in some of the values, we might want to just drop those ones because maybe they are missing values. Okay, but then we didn't want somebody to take this data and know what is happening. That is why we have to encode them differently. So basically, this is where you would need this kind of sub in string to replace for you. All right, so let's move to the next one. So what we're going to do is to check and see whether or not we have some. So I am going to say the list, browse, anything. So let's try the browse and see. So browse if missing. If missing means that one or two of these is empty, nothing at all. But looking at them, nothing is missing. So how do we go around this? These are numbers and letters combined together. So I would want to keep those with the letters and then not with those with numbers alone. They are string. Okay. How do you tell data, or how do you ask the question whether something is string or not, numeric or not? So the way to go around it is to ask, let's browse if missing real name. So missing, let's go inside first. So then real name tells data to look at these numbers and see, is this a number? Is this a number? Is this a real number? Is it a real number? Now it comes to one with a letter inside and say, no, this is not. So it identifies that as missing. Okay, that is what we want to. So I'm just going to select this and run that code alone. Then you can see that, okay, these are the only things. Okay, you can see YTREGFWK. So these are the ones that are still there. So I'm going to replace this, or I'm going to set this as an example. Okay, so I say replace name is equals to missing if this happens. Okay, so let's run this code and then see everything is cleared. We have everything cleared. Okay, all right, so let's go back here and run the whole code. Okay, we'll still have this because we specifically asked this to be brought up for us. So let's browse here and try running again. Then you have everything now set for you. But then now you have missing inside. So if you scroll, you can see that most of the some of the places is empty. That will mean that we have successfully uh, cleaned those ones out, call them missing, and the rest are kept as they are. Now there is one more thing to do. You can now see that yes, these are numeric, but they are red. Numbers are Real numbers are black, coded ones are the blue, and the strings are the red. So this means that these numbers are actually not numbers to state that. they are string, like name of an address of a place, name of a person, that kind of thing. So we will need to tell data that, okay, now we finished doing what we want to do. We have converted the letters back to numbers and we know what they are now. So I want you to convert this back to real numbers. So the way to do that is to call the dstring command. So dstring, what are we dstringing? Okay, dstring name replace. So let's hope this works. I'm just going to select that and then run it, and you can see that everything is changed to blue. So the cleaning aspect, this is what I would have done to clean all of them. If there is anything to clean again, obviously they would have been, we would have done that a long time ago. So all the variables that needs cleaning, this is what we can do to clean. So that when you now come back here, the thing that we need to now do here is to actually write the code for the analysis itself. So at this point, if you run the code and you are seeing errors, you know exactly where the errors are coming from, and you just go to that particular place and do the cleaning. Now you can see that if we were to add this to this, you can imagine how lengthy this would be, given that you have so many variables to work with. Okay, so now to conclude, the next thing is to um, log my results and then start my analysis. So I'm going to say quietly Q for short. So quietly, the first thing I do is log using, then I'm now go to my results, keep my results there for me. And I say, okay, my results log, comma, replace. So you can replace or modify, but I like to replace because basically what I'm doing, I don't want plenty files there. So I'm just going to replace the whole thing. Okay, so what is the next thing to do after creating your log file? Do your analysis, run the code that will do the analysis. So the basic command I will do is to say noisily. Noisily means show it again in uh, my results window. I would want to see the results come out before I even go to open the results file. So noisily sum is short for summarize. So this is summarize H. Then I add detail. I want the detail summarize. Okay. Next one, I'm going to say I new line. Let's call it 4. This is a fancy way of separating results, giving them spaces. Okay. So this is sex respondents. Then I can say, okay, tab. I want to table this, not to summarize. So just tap 6, and that's it. So let's say this is all that we needed to do, okay, for our analysis. So we can now come out here and then close the log. Remember, we opened the log at the very top here. So we would want to close that particular log here. So after this, that is all. You just save it and then run the whole file. Okay. So by this time, you should have your results where it's supposed to be. So let's go check it out. So this is our results. So we open this and we see that we have results here. Yes, I'm opening it and this is what we have. Age of respondents, then we have this. Okay, and then you have the detailed descriptive statistics, and this is the sex of the responder that we just did, and we close the log at this point. Okay, now we are saying this because of the way we ran the file. We chose to run it differently, like I said earlier on, control plus arrow, that will quietly give you the results without all those things coming out. Okay, all right, so that is the end of this video, how to divide your code into several sections in order to help you manage your analysis well. I'll see you in another video.